Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Game Over Winnipeg. My name is Brady. I will be your host here today. On a pretty disappointing 6-5 loss for the Jets against the Los Angeles Kings, the loss coming in overtime, of course, on a night where the Jets had a 2-goal lead multiple times in the evening. Unfortunately, are just not able to hold on to it. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about this. And, you know, honestly, kind of a bit of a mixed bag game, in my opinion, because while the Jets did get killed in the expected goal side of things, while the Jets did, not, the Kings definitely played better than the Jets tonight. That's 100% sure. But the Jets also gave us reason to believe. At the point we are in the season right now, actually, before we do that, I personally didn't see the Jets losing this game the way it was going. I thought that they had this in the bag, personally. Not in the bag, but I thought that they would be able to eke it out at least. But regardless, want to bet you think you know which way it's going to go. Again, get in on the action at Sports Interaction. The boys of summer are back on the diamond and March Madness is on deck. Bet pregame, live, and player on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN or in Ontario, download the app now using the QR code at the bottom of the screen. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Alrighty. Now that that's out of the way, What I was basically trying to say was this was a very mixed bag game in the sense that there were this game felt different than the recent ones that we've had from the Jets. We'll get into the roller coaster weekend that we had, but the Jets have been getting outplayed every single game, outshot, and just not able to create chances. Early on, the Jets end up going up and scoring some goals, and honestly, it breathed life into this team. We'll get into Josh Morrissey and his effect on the team. A 4-point night for him. Absolutely fantastic. We'll talk about Nino, of course, in his debut, and that massive hit. Oh my God. But first, I think it's important to ground ourselves. Remember where we were at before this game started. So obviously there's the absolute roller coaster weekend on Friday. The Jets get absolutely pumped in the most important game of the season, against the Colorado Avalanche. And then Saturday is a bit of an upswing for Jets fans. Oh, we got this guy. We got Nino Niederreiter. And it costed us only a second round pick. That's fantastic. It's such an up to at least breathe life into this team. As a fan, I spent the entire day getting really excited, hoping that, of course, this was just one of many big swings that Chevy would take this deadline, which, of course, we're going to have to talk about that because this is the last game. This was the last Jets game before the trade deadline. So we're obviously going to have to talk about that and obviously talk about the crazy, ridiculous day. But to continue on before this game, like I said, and then we have, we're on the upturn from the Nino news. And then Sunday's game rolls around and the Jets lay an absolute egg against the Islanders. If you tuned into Game Over, we had Nick Lynam on, and we had a very important discussion as to where the Jets are. Is it worth adding at the deadline? Does this team deserve it even? I would suggest you go check that out if you did miss it, but because that conversation lends mostly to where the Jets are at as a team at the moment. And I think that, despite, having good things happen tonight, they're kind of still in the same place. And again, we'll talk trade deadline in a little bit on later. Got to talk about the game first, of course. But, entering into the game, we get the line combinations come out. Oh, look, Nino Niederreiter is going to be playing with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Nick Ehlers. And then you have Connor Scheifele-Wheeler on the second line. You haven't seen those guys together ever. So an old staple from the Maurice era comes back out in the Connor Scheifele-Wheeler line. We're all expecting to see how that goes. And coming into this game with that in mind, I was just wondering what the usage was going to be like because I'm willing to give Connor Scheifele-Wheeler, this is me prior to this game, to be clear. I was willing to give Connor Scheifele-Wheeler at least a chance, because it really depended on the usage of those players. If we were in the case where Pierre-Luc Dubois was playing tonight, and it was Ehlers and Niederreiter on his wings, then that's a line that I think you can kind of play in almost most situations. That's a line that can get the puck out of their zone, move up ice. Whereas the Connor Scheifele-Wheeler line, I would be much more worried about starting them in their D zone. I think that they would be, I guess, okay for the time being, with getting mostly O-zone starts. But then the news comes in that Pierre-Luc Dubois unfortunately will not be playing tonight. A scratch because he has a lower body injury, I believe, if I remember correctly. That's what they at least said on the broadcast. And then Mason Appleton also out tonight. I'm not sure what was his ailment, but two main roster pieces not playing tonight. Of course, the big one being PLD. So we didn't really get to have the audition, to see who's going to play with Nino, or where Nino's going to play, that we were expecting, because Adam Lowry ends up jumping up. And what I'm actually surprised that the Jets ended up doing, rather than just, leaving your fourth line wingers out to dry and just letting them play, every now and then, and, just sticking on the PK, because they did end up rolling with, 11 forwards and 7D tonight. What they ended up doing is just cycling the centers. So one shift, Scheifele would be with one set of wingers, then Lowry the next, then Stenlund the next, and then, as the cycle goes, you get every single set of wingers out there, and then your centers just end up playing a little bit more, which I thought was actually a good thing, and, I think mostly worked out for the night, but we'll get into the collapse later on, of course. And, as much as sometimes it's fun to, pick out a certain thing that we want to talk about, a lot of times Liz and I have talked about momentum, this and that, and then use examples from the game. I just want to take you guys through the game, because it was very interesting as a fan, and I think that the fan experience is very important, especially with people who are in the building. When the Jets get down, or when the fans are down on their team, it reflects in the Jets. Not to say that, fans shouldn't boo, or fans shouldn't be frustrated with their team and voice that. But it does, I don't think it helps the Jets. And I'm not saying that, we have to go there and coddle them and be like, oh, you guys are doing great, when they aren't. But it was very interesting to see tonight how the crowd was so much more into it. There was so much more support for the team. I think it was because obviously the guys were scoring, and actually looked like they gave a shit tonight. But it's infectious to see how the crowd rubs off on the team, and a great introduction for Nino to at least our fan base. Man, that hit. I'm gonna jump ahead. I gotta say it. Wow, holy. I thought right away, I'm gonna talk about the first period and go period by period, as I like to do a lot here. But first period, Nino had like 4 hits. He was rocking and rolling, a great way to endear yourself to a fan base. And then in the second period, oh my God, what a hit on Sean Durzi. Might get looked at by the league. He does hit him in the head. I think the right call was made there. A lot of people were kind of confused as to what the penalties were. He ended up getting a 2-minute for head contact, or, what's the word? I can't remember the way they specified in the rule book, but it's like a specific hit to the head. And then he got 2 for roughing for all the commotion afterwards that was created by him. But wow, like he showed up and gave it his all, and it wasn't, he didn't score any points tonight. He had 2 shot attempts. Most of them were blocked. Excuse me. But I can see that he will be, if he's not the only piece that the Jets get, if the Jets do want to go for a run and end up adding a lot more pieces, he fits right in. I think that he'll be great. Again, first game with the team, you can't really fault him for not getting any points. I think he played really well tonight. He at least showed the reason why we acquired him. Big guy, likes to play hard on the puck, likes to play hard on puck battles, likes to try and get shots. Immediately from the start, he was trying to get shots on net right away, which is something that we have been yelling and screaming for the Jets to do, is to freaking shoot the puck. But anyways, I digress. We'll get back into the game. One of the things that I was, I was really, liking in the first period is I thought that Morgan Barron, actually just this game all in all, but in the first period especially, he was absolutely buzzing. I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out to him because I think that he's going to get lost in all of this goals here. I think that he had a fantastic game tonight. He was, battling hard in the corners. He directly led to one of the Stenling goals. And, really good for the bottom six to be chipping in. But like I said, we'll go through the goals, of course. Let me just see here. First little bit that I had written down here was the Jets get a power play off of an Edler interference. And this is where we kind of get a picture as to see what the new power play is going to look like with Nino Niederreiter on there. Of course, he was taking the bumper slot. Rick Bowness had quotes, I think it was earlier today, or it might have been the other day. He said that he put Nino in there because he found that the players that were playing the bumper were getting a little too, I think he used the word still, mainly meaning that they were just sitting there and waiting for something to, for a pass to get forced over to them, whereas he wants to see a little bit more movement. And right away, we saw Nino provided a little bit of a different option there. There was just like these extra little passes that I found created a lot more space for the Jets. There's just one little one where Connor didn't really have an option as to where to go. Nino just kind of goes up to him just to be like, hey, give me the puck, I'll give it back to you. He then passes it down low to Scheifele. Scheifele wraps it around or went to the net. But point is, creating space. And I actually really like Nino there. Of course, I would love to have Nikolai Ehlers on that first power play, but I'm not even going to get into that. I don't know why Blake Wheeler is on that power play, but I digress. It is what it is. The Jets get the first goal. Josh Morrissey with a big rip, goes off the back wall, bounces on top of Phoenix Copley's skate, and then Mark Scheifele starts digging at it. I don't think that he actually had any effect on the puck, but he definitely caused it, at very least, Phoenix Copley to, kind of panic a little bit. Regardless, the puck ends up getting loose going into the slot, and the guy who ripped it from the point originally busts his ass, crashes the net in, and finishes off. Josh Morrissey scores, and oh my God, the pop at the Canada Life Center when Josh Morrissey scored here was fantastic. Just everyone a sigh of relief. Oh my God, we can score goals, guys. We can put the puck in the net. Yeah, just fantastic. And this entire first period, I was sitting there going, Morrissey looks a lot more engaged. The entire team looked a lot more engaged. I guess Rick Bowness's practice that he ran the other day, we all heard that he was getting real loud in practice. He had a coach-only practice in the sense of no assistants there, and he was really enforcing that the Jets need to be harder on their sticks, need to be crashing the net more, getting shots on. Really, really good to see the Jets at least respond at the start like this. We get some Go Jets Go chants going. Ooh, it's been a while since we've heard that. Wow, that was nice. And then and then Dylan DeMello gets a loose puck and just passes it over to Josh Morrissey. And it was like, I'm trying to think of it felt like almost like an anime, the camera zooms in on Josh Morrissey's face. You get the camera slash across the screen. It shows that, and then it shows the open ice in the net. And he just walks in and just absolutely rips it. Oh my God, Josh Morrissey, second goal of the game. The fans are losing their mind. What a shot. Just incredible. And Josh Morrissey, we got to say, Josh Morrissey is the heart and soul of this team. When this team is not looking well, over this past little stretch where the Jets have been playing poorly, Josh Morrissey has just not looked as engaged. It just seems like maybe, frustration set in. Maybe just things just haven't been going his way. Who knows? I mean, it's pretty deflating when you play on a tough team like this. And I don't blame him for maybe not being at his best. Over the past 7 games where the Jets have one win, and the win was the Hellebuck, whatever it was, the crazy performance he had against New York. Yeah, just insane. So So, man, it's fantastic to see Josh Morrissey is kind of back, returned a little bit to form after a couple games where maybe he wasn't the most effective player. Not to say he was bad, but again, just saying that he wasn't the Josh Morrissey guy that we've been touting all year. So it was fantastic to see him back in, back to form, as we'll call it. And period goes on. Hellebuck makes a couple big saves. The period ends with shots being 11-7. Of course, not great, not fantastic, but shots aren't what matter. The period ends 2-0. And it feels good to be a Jets fan. The Jets are up 2-0. How long has it been since there's been not even a 2-goal lead, a lead that the Jets have had? They just haven't been scoring over the past stretch. But finally tonight we get some goals. Again, Morrissey, just a fantastic game, fantastic period. We'll move on a little bit here. The second period starts with a pretty poor, pretty dumb little holding call that Pionk takes. The guy was already past you, buddy. I don't know what you're doing. But the Kings do not take long to respond. 6 seconds into the power play, Kopitar wins the draw, goes back to Doughty. Doughty passes it to Fiala. Fiala sees Kopitar sitting over in all the free space. Nice little pass over to him, and he just rips a little one-timer in. Kopitar scores. Get used to me saying that. We'll be saying it many, many times tonight. And yeah, just really great. Really great by the Kings. Insane. Like, what a great, what's it called? Set play off the draw. Like, just, good on them. One of the best power plays in the league. But I didn't expect them to score that quickly. And now we're only up 1 goal. A little bit of adversity's hitting for the Jets. Guys are still battling. It's a bit of a back and forth for a little bit. And then Kyle Connor. Whoa, baby. What a snipe. Nice. One of the things I found the Jets did actually a lot better tonight is their transition play was much better. Maybe it's the way the Kings play, but they weren't, the Jets weren't getting stopped up at the line as much, it felt like this game. And the passes were a lot more crisp, it felt like. So that's one thing that has definitely improved. I'll say that for sure. And just one where, Scheifele gets a nice little pass from Morrissey in the neutral zone. He brings it up into the zone, does a nice little handoff to Kyle Connor. And Kyle Connor, you're not supposed to be able to score from that spot. He takes a shot from the bottom hash mark against the boards on his left side, so on his strong side, which means he's not even getting the, if he's shooting that way, he's getting the openness of his shot. No, his stick was even further ahead of him than his body, and he rips it far side above the shoulder, I think, on Phoenix Copley, goes bar down and in. What a fantastic shot. But not too long after, Anze Kopitar. Again, we're going to be saying this guy's name a lot tonight. He has a nice little tip on I think it was a Drew Doughty shot. But this goal is the main issue with the Jets tonight is the goals that they allowed were just off of small little mistakes. Again, the first goal was off of Pionk's holding call that probably, again, it was just a bad call or a bad penalty to take. This one, Saku Manalainen gets the puck in the left defensive corner. He doesn't have a player on him immediately, and he fumbles the puck. He just kind of loses it. There wasn't a guy on him yet at the time, but it gets turned around. He loses the puck in his skates. I'm not too sure exactly what happens, but then once they get pressed on him, the puck gets cycled up to the point again over to Doughty. Doughty rips a shot, and Kopitar has his goal. And again, you have to get that puck out, Manalainen. You absolutely need to. Again, this guy is not. I don't want to pick on Saku Manalainen every night, but he has only provided usefulness to the Jets on the PK. Other than that, though, he's been a bit of a liability. The puck dies on his stick in the offensive zone. In the defensive end, if he can't go boards and out, there's no, he's not making nice outlet passes or anything like that. It's very frustrating. He doesn't have the skating ability to just take it up the boards. Very, very rough. Those are the mistakes that a Stanley Cup winning team, or even a contender, sorry, I'm not going to jump that far. Those are the mistakes you cannot make. That's a goal that you should not give up. That's a routine breakout, and that was tough. And I'm now noticing that I'm saying this after I said that the Jets' transition game was good. Not on this one. And then what happens again? Ante Kopitar tips another puck in, and he has a hat trick, and now it's 3-3. You know how we were feeling in that first period? Gone. Done. 2-goal lead? Gone. Jets got a battle back. Luckily, Kevin Stenlund, boy oh boy, my boy Kevin Stenlund, and finally, everyone, we finally get a goal from the bottom six. This is what we needed. And that's what also makes this loss so much more frustrating. Like, you got good goal. You got Josh Morrissey scoring 2 goals, a 4-point night. Mark Scheifele looked good in transition. I'm gonna bag on him in a bit, but we'll get there. Kyle Connor looked fantastic. He was making nice little plays, nice moves. Again, rips a beautiful shot. He was looking good. Nino Niederreiter's throwing the body. He's looking good. Ehlers, pedestrian night. It was fine. I don't blame him for anything here, but we'll not a lot to talk about in regards to him. But that's what makes this so much more frustrating is you get your help from the bottom six finally, something we've been yelling and screaming for so long. Kevin Stenlund, he outbattles Sean Durzi in the corner. Sees the open ice, walks out, and just rips a shot right over Phoenix Copley's shoulder. Fantastic goal. Great. The Jets are back up 4-3. You know what you shouldn't do? It's a bad thing to do once you get your lead back finally. Things that I would suggest not doing is taking a penalty immediately after you score to go back up. Logan Stanley takes one of the dumbest penalties I have ever seen, and he is goddamn lucky that this didn't end up being the thing that led to a goal for the Kings, because actually now that I think about it, he might have even got benched after that. I don't remember seeing him on the ice much after that, but regardless, there's Jets win the draw. It comes back to Stanley. He dumps it in, and as he's dumping it in, Blake, I think it's Blake. Lizotte hits him. This tiny little guy. He's like 5'9". I say that I'm also 5'9", but this little guy hits 6'7" Logan Stanley, barely a bump. As Stanley's passing the puck up the ice, and what does Stanley do? He turns around and cross-checks him right in the face. I was surprised that this was only 2 minutes. Maybe I would assume the reason is because there was no intent to injure there. Obviously we saw Blake Lizotte was bleeding on the play. It looked like it was on his nose. Luckily it wasn't, anything too bad. Good. I'm happy he's not, missing teeth or anything like that. That's a really dangerous play for Logan Stanley to do. And I'll be honest with you, Logan Stanley should probably take more penalties than he does. Like, he should be called for more penalties than he does because he's cross-checking all the time out there. But that's neither here nor there. That's just a comment on NHL officiating. But just an absolutely boneheaded penalty to take, especially with the time of the game. Like, you just got your lead back and you're going to potentially throw it away. Luckily, the Jets end up killing off the penalty, but not before, who was it? Brendan Dillon also takes a cross-checking penalty. So, guys, you got to take your hands off your stick. Only one hand. Let go with one. Just push, and you're good. And this was also a little frustrating because right before then there was a kind of a breakaway that we had on the penalty kill, and Sakumattalainen was held up and no call. But then of course we get our second cross-checking in a couple minutes. It was the right call. Dillon absolutely cross-checks him. But again, go on to the PK, and boy oh boy, as always, the best PK guy on the Jets is the man in net, number 37, Connor Hellebuyck. Makes some beautiful saves. I think there was one where it was off of a redirection, as well as the one where he makes a really nice glove save. Just, again, hats off to him always. Always keeping the Jets in it. It is what it is. And then this is when after the Jets kill the penalty, that's when we get our big Nino hit, which leads into a big scrum. As I said, the Jets end up on the PK just due to the fact that the initial hitting and then coincidentals. Who cares about that? So the Jets go on to the PK for 2 minutes, and this is when Adam Lowry brings the puck up the ice, and I literally said to my girlfriend, I turn over to her, I just go, it will be very Adam Lowry to score, to finally break his goalless streak with a shorthanded goal here. So he comes in, and I guess maybe Drew Doughty was thinking the same thing because there was already one man on Adam Lowry, but Drew Doughty figures, I got to go help too, which leaves Kevin Stenlund wide open in front with a nice one-timer, a beautiful saucer pass from Adam Lowry, like fantastic. Hats off to him. And Kevin Stenlund has his second goal of the game. My boy Stenny. I was so fired up at this point. The Jets go back up 5-3. We got the 2-goal lead back. Finished with the period, both periods with a 2-goal lead. Fantastic. Let's go, Jets. We got this. Let's just lock it down in the third period. No big deal. We'll get there. Either way, it's been just a really wild game. Third period starts. Who else but Anze Kopitar? Anze Kopitar gets there was kind of a half, like a regroup that the LA Kings kind of had to do, not too deep into their zone. And this one, I'm going to put the bullhorns on Adam Lowry. I found that he was the one who probably should have had the coverage here. Anze Kopitar skating up the middle of the ice isn't contested until he gets into the own zone, or until he gets into the Jets zone, and he doesn't miss those. His fourth of the night. Anze Kopitar scores to make it 5-4. He's got every single one of the Kings' goals. Game continues on. It keeps going back and forth. The PP comes up pretty short for the Jets, which honestly, it is what it is. I'm just glad to see we got some 5v5 goals today. The Jets have not been able to score at even strength for a long time now, so I'm okay with the power play maybe not being fantastic tonight. But regardless, not the point. Another note I just had down here. I just wanted to give another shout out to Morgan Barron, just absolutely battling in the corner. He also kind of stands up for Adam Lowry after a hit from Arvidsson that seemed like it was maybe a boarding. I'm not too sure, but regardless, he throws Victor Arvidsson off of him. So just a little hat tip to him. The Jets get a 2-on-0, Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor going up the ice. Ooh, we usually know how this ends. Let me guess. Is it a pass and no shot? It's a pass and no shot. Like, guys, you guys are up 1 goal. This is not the time to be like, no, you score. Oh, you want me to score? No, you score. But it is what it is. Again, I'm not saying this if Kyle Connor ends up finishing on that goal. But it is a very tough thing to see in a 1-goal game. But again, another power play for the Jets, and on a pretty weak tripping call, by the way. But this is right after that 2-on-0. Scheifele's behind the net and just kind of locks skates with one of the Kings. And anyways, they go to the power play, nothing again. And then the tying goal. All right, so I want to preface this and say I want to acknowledge the fact that Dylan Sandberg blew a tire. It is what it is. I can't remember who he was on the ice with at the time of this goal. I think it was Pierre-Luc, just based on the way he was kind of edging out the guy on the boards. But it's a 2-on-2, and Neil Pierre-Luc pins the guy up against the boards. He gets the puck up, and Dylan Sandberg, unfortunately, blows a tire, and finally not Anze Kopitar. Gabe Vilardi walks in and rips it top corner. But my issue here, and I kind of alluded to this earlier on, mentioning that, I'm not too sure about Connor Scheifele Wheeler in the sense of, their capabilities in the defensive zone. This goal starts from a very innocent little play that Josh Morrissey makes in the offensive zone. He gets it at his left side, and he doesn't really have any options. No one's really open, but he does see some open space on the corner that's diagonal to him. So what he does is he just kind of feathers a pass into the open space there. And Blake Wheeler is in front of the net, and this is where my first frustration on this happens. He looks gassed. He looks absolutely gassed. He doesn't make an effort to go for this open puck and just lets the Kings player get it. Kyle Connor was kind of in near the same area, but I would say that, if I was in his skates, I definitely would have been like, okay, Wheeler's going to be the guy pressing on this guy. I should get back a little bit now. And he does start to skate back. But regardless, the Kings get in and come up the ice. What then happens is, like I said, it's a 2-on-2 in regards to two forwards against two Jets defensemen. But the entire Connor Scheifele Wheeler line does not continue skating back. They kind of start gliding in the neutral zone. And then when it's very obvious that the Kings have a breakaway in on the net, then Mark Scheifele starts jumping. Then he starts going, oh, fuck, let me try to get back. And just isn't able to catch up to Gabe Vilardi. It is so frustrating. And I tweeted about this, and I mentioned that this was a very vintage Connor Scheifele Wheeler play where, no one is back checking. And some people were like, it's totally the forward's fault when the defenseman, loses on a 2-on-2. I don't care. And it absolutely was, you can put the goat horns on Sandberg. He's the guy who fell over. He's the guy who wasn't able to cover his man. But in a game where, like let's be honest here, this is the most must-win the Jets have had all year, by far. We talk about must-win games. This was a must-win game. This is the last game before the trade deadline. The Jets have been on have won one game out of the past 6, only because Connor Hellebuyck stood on his head and made 50 saves. And there's 4 minutes left. There's 4 minutes left in a 1-goal game. You need to be preparing for the worst. Mark Scheifele, you need to get your ass back in that zone, and you need to understand that you are there to provide some support for the defense. If they end up getting the puck, you need to be there for a quick pass so then you can go back up the ice and get it out of your zone. Or in case of emergency, smash glass, you need to get your ass back there and put some pressure on a guy who's coming in all alone on your goalie. You guys have let in 4 goals already at this point. You know the Kings can come back. They've done it to you multiple times already tonight. They have erased your 2-goal lead already twice. What are you doing? I just don't I don't get it. There's just a lack of understanding the situation that the Jets are in. And like I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know what to tell you. I feel crazy because it's so obvious. It's so obvious. And Mark Scheifele's done a lot of work this year to try and get rid of the defensive liability tag. He's done a lot better this year, but by God, it only matters at the times that it matters. It doesn't matter if you're not doing it in the times that it matters the most. Anyways, the Kings end up scoring. As I said, Gabe Vilardi puts it in over Connor Hellebuyck's shoulder. A great shot by him. Not much Hellebuyck can do on this. And again, all these goals, none of them, absolutely none of them are Connor Hellebuyck's fault. 2 of them were tips. 1 of them, or 2 of them, were just guys skating in and having like an empty lane. Is that all of them? I think I can't remember. That's 4 only that I mentioned. I don't know. Regardless, none of them were his fault. It just brutal on the Jets front. You guys had to lock this game down. They had to, and they did not. And now we go to overtime, where I don't really usually like to write a lot of notes in overtime. It's just kind of a very obvious thing as to what's going on. Sometimes it's over right away, sometimes it's not. Overtime goes back and forth. And and what ends up happening is There were multiple times where Kyle Connor should have shot the goddamn puck. What have we been yelling about for so long? And I understand it's 3-on-3 overtime. I understand that as soon as you shoot the puck, you do not have the puck, and therefore the other team can get the puck and come back on your zone. But also, when you shoot the puck, you can potentially score. And there were multiple times tonight where Connor, I keep wanting to say Connor Hellebuyck. Kyle Connor kind of reverted back to what has been plaguing the Jets during this slide. The Jets just need to shoot the goddamn puck. Just shoot the puck. Just shoot the puck. Oh my God, just shoot the goddamn puck. And they finally do end up getting a shot. It's Morrissey off to the side. And again, I don't blame Morrissey for that shot. There was no time left in overtime. You have to shoot it at that point because no one else can get. There's not going to be another opportunity to shoot. Goes to shootout. Mark Scheifele doesn't score. Gabe Vilardi doesn't score. Kyle Connor gets absolutely robbed by Phoenix Copley with his little kick up on the. That's not really a scorpion save, but does a nice little kick up to get a little bit of extra coverage by the pad on Kyle Connor, not Connor Hellebuyck. Kyle Connor. Adrian Kempe goes and he ends up scoring, and there it is. Blake Wheeler comes out, which I want to be critical of that decision, but I'm also like, I don't know who else I would have gone with. Maybe Ehlers. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure who the Jets, shootout guys are supposed to be, but alas, they haven't had to go to the shootout much this year, and the Jets get a shootout loss tonight. They do get 1 point, which is very helpful. I didn't pull up the standings. I should have. Anyways, regardless, I'm pretty sure they're still in the wild card in the West here. It looks like they are in fact still behind the other teams in the Central. Yeah, they are. They are still behind the Avalanche. The Avalanche have 73 points, and they are in third. The Wild in second with 74. The Stars in first with 75, and the Jets in fourth with 72. And alas, the Winnipeg Jets fall to the LA Kings. 6-5 in shootout. Again, a game that I think the Jets gave us reason to at least feel better about the team, but some old habits do die hard, some mistakes that are made, and unfortunately the Jets just aren't able to eke it out. I'm going to take a little sip of water here, take a look at the chat and see what people are saying, and then we're gonna talk a little trade deadline, I think, because today was a little crazy. But alas, let's continue here. Let me just take a little sip and read through your comments. Of course, if you are here, please like the stream. We got a decent little turnout here tonight. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're listening on the audio portion later on, obviously join us. Join us in person, not in person, but live on YouTube. It's a lot of fun here in the chat. Again, taking a sip. Okay. All right. So, stressful Gengar in the chat. There is a lack of care. Players don't seem to care. We should blow it up. Jets need to shoot the puck. I agree. And especially in OT, I agree. Lazy KO comes in here saying, so how does one fix this team? Good thing I'm not the GM because I don't know. It is rough. And Noah Laforte, one of the chat MVPs, of course. CLC was buzzing tonight, chanting Nino when he was fighting. Fantastic. I'd love to hear it. What else we got here? Chevy from Baby Yoda. Chevy should go. Blow it up. Too many losses. Well, it looks like everyone's pretty down on the team. I understand why. It's been a really tough couple weeks as a Jets fan, but I don't know. There's something about tonight's game that I felt at least a little bit better. It's going to be really tough for Kevin Cheveldayoff. I do not envy his position here tonight. Because again, like I said, there are reasons to believe that the Jets could be a good team if they add a couple more, Nino Niederreiter-esque players to round out, the middle six. I think that they can definitely at least get something done in the playoffs here. Do they deserve it? That's for you and Kevin Cheveldayoff to figure it out. But today was a wild day on the trade front. Looking at, we've all been talking about how the fact that the East is kind of crazy, and that the East constantly is adding. Obviously, Toronto made how many deals today? Moving some of their young pieces out, getting Eric Gustafson, getting who else did they get? Jeez. Who else? Oh, they brought in Sam Lafferty and Jake McCabe after already bringing in Ryan O'Reilly. It's an absolute arms race, as many people have said, in the East, whereas the West have not done much to add. Although today we did finally get some action in the East, in the West. Most notably is the Oilers moving on from Tyson Barrie and getting in Matthias Ekholm. Another team who, much more important to the Jets. The Minnesota Wild ended up adding, Marcus Johansson. So again, they're rounding their team off, and it seems like things are starting to happen in the West. Obviously, we know what's going on around the Kings and Jacob Chikrin. That's been going on for a while now. Not myself, with the Jets, maybe they might be in on a Chikrin. Well, who's to say? But there are still a lot of players out there, and if, as I was saying, we had Nick Lynham on over the weekend. He's been tweeting out a lot of stuff in regards to the Jets. I obviously suggest you go give him a follow. But he's been now kind of touting the drum of saying things along the lines of Chevy is probably going to end up waiting till the end of the week, trying to get some bargains, as now a lot of teams have kind of taken themselves out of certain trade conversations. Obviously, I don't think New York's going to be making many more moves, considering now they have Patrick Kane and they had to wait till 5 p.m. to even get that deal done. Again, the Leafs, the Lightning, all these guys. Tanner Jeannot, I didn't even mention Tanner Jeannot getting traded for a first, a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth, and Cal Foote, who was once a first. But as I said, the suitors for a lot of trades are starting to thin out now. But obviously that's going to happen when the big fish are coming off the market. Obviously Timo Meier's already moved. Everyone's starting to move, but there's still a decent amount of players available on the trading block right now. Obviously, one that the Jets were linked to earlier on was JVR from the Flyers. It seems like the action around him is kind of died down. I think his agent was trying to pump up the discussion around him. However, it seems from what I've at least gathered from the insiders that he is not getting as much traction as others. So that's a guy who I can see Chevy waiting till the last minute and then coming in and seeing what he can do in regards to maybe getting that done. Other than that, there's obviously Jacob Chikrin we're all waiting for, but the Leafs are out on him now. There's news that the Kings are potentially in on a Gavrikov deal, and Korpisalo from obviously the Columbus Blue Jackets. So that's another team that potentially could have been a Chikrin landing spot, because now has kind of gone away. And then again, the conversation comes back to, do the Jets deserve to add? Has this team given Kevin Cheveldayoff reason to believe in them? In my opinion, I don't think that matters. I think what matters now is that the Jets are kind of they're kind of locked into a space where either they have to completely blow it up, and just get ahead of all the PLD stuff. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening just because, there's only 3 days until the trade deadline. So I don't think that there's enough time to drum up the interest. And of course, all the other teams, all of the contenders at least, have already done their adding and have already spent a bunch of draft picks, a bunch of young prospects, whoever it is. So I don't see that being the case here for the Jets. So the other option is you either stand pat or you go for it. And with where this Jets core is, you got to do something at some point. You got Connor Hellebuck for this year and next. You got Mark Scheifele for this year and next. You got Blake Wheeler for this year and next. You got Nino Niederreiter for this year and next. You have this year and next to get something done. And you potentially have Pierre-Luc Dubois for this year and next, assuming he just, signs a qualifying offer with the Jets. Although we're not sure that that's going to happen. He might push for a trade. Who knows? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. The point is, the time is now. And with the West being mostly wide open, of course, now you're seeing some contenders get a couple more players on their team. Again, Edmonton adding on the back end. Matthias Ekholm's a great add. The Wild, who else was it? The Knights ended up adding Ivan Barbashev. There's been a lot of deals starting to happen in the West, but at the same time, none of these big hitters are really coming to the West. Like all the big hitters, Timo Meier, Patrick Kane, Ryan O'Reilly, Jake McCabe, all these guys are in the East. So the West is still pretty wide open. I've even, as I just went down the standings of the Jets for the Central, the Jets are 3 points back, 4 points back, 3 points back, 3 points back. Are 3 points back from first place. Obviously, games in hand are all different, but if the Jets turn this season around, and there's still a lot of time to it, they could easily win the division. They could. They could also just as easily fall completely out of playoff contention. That's on the players and the team to figure out and what to do. And again, I don't envy Kevin Cheveldayoff, and now, unfortunately, this is the last game before the trade deadline. What are you supposed to do? A game that, in my opinion, inspired a little bit of confidence to show that, my team isn't as bad as it once, as we saw over the past, 2 weeks. But you still lose. You still lose. And, good teams find a way to win. Unfortunately, the Jets lose tonight. So, it's going to be a very interesting case for Kevin Cheveldayoff and see what he does. I still think the Jets do end up making a couple more additions just because they do have the cap space. Again, they made the cap space by trading Little's deal along with Nathan Smith. I think that they will make more moves, and as Elliot Friedman said, he said on his podcast on Sunday that he thinks the Jets are done, and then immediately walked that back and said, I wish I hadn't said that, which more or less means to me the Jets are still talking to people. So I would expect to come back to the game on Friday against the Oilers, with some more trades to talk about for the Winnipeg Jets. But like I said, this is the last game before the trade deadline, so it'll be interesting to see what Kevin Cheveldayoff decides to do. He's the one who holds the keys here. It's either time to push the chips into the middle and go all in, or it's time to maybe fold. Who's to say? Not me for sure. But regardless, I thank you all for tuning in here tonight with me. It was a bit of a longer pod tonight. I just felt like I had to go through the entire game and just kind of go through the roller coaster that it was. But like I said, we'll see what happens come trade deadline. Announcement, Game Over is having a little trade deadline show. It's going to be pretty much right after the trade deadline actually hits. We're not going to be doing the standard, throughout the day, twiddling our thumbs while no deals come in, especially considering what we've seen today. It seems like most of the trades are going to happen before Friday, but we will be doing basically kind of like a recap show with all the different markets. It'll be hosted by Audie James, the Game Over Calgary one of the Game Over Calgary hosts. And yours truly will be making a little bit of an appearance on it at some point, hopefully getting to talk about some more additions from the Jets. But regardless, it is a fun time of year. Make sure you keep your notifications on for Mr. Friedman and Saravalli and all the guys. Don't get fooled by fake accounts. There's a lot of them out there, and it should be a lot of fun in the next few days. Regardless, though, thank you all for tuning in. Please do follow us on Twitter at SDPN Sports. You'll get all the information on the trade deadline show there. follow us on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube if you're not. Follow us on audio. Follow myself at NHL Chunky on Twitter. Follow mine and Liz's. We have a podcast of our own called Can't Teach Size. We will also have a recap of the trade deadline coming out there, likely with one of our friends who's been on the podcast before, little Mikey Stevens maybe. So if we can get the timing working out there, we'll probably have him on. But regardless, I'm awful at outros. I just keep rambling on. Follow Liz at Liz Hood on Twitter, and myself, of course. Anyways, that's it. We're done. No more outro. Thank you all for tuning in. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. Have fun. Peace out.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.